Hello and welcome to this video of the FTX Torro. Today we're going to be looking at how to break in the engine. This is fitted with a Force 18 sized engine, but this process will work with any Nitro engine. Today we're going to be using the 5-tank standard break-in procedure that I have covered many times on this channel. So on tank 1 of the break-in, which we've already done, and you'll see that in the previous video if you haven't seen it already, you just let the engine sing for one full fuel tank. Try to keep the wheels off the ground if you can, and there you go. So now we're going to move on to tank 2. Tank 2 of the breaking in procedure is slow driving in figure of 8 circles. Try not to exceed quarter throttle. I know it's tempting, but try not to exceed quarter throttle. So we're going to be using the same fuel throughout this process, and the fuel that we're using for the break-in is the fuel that we are going to be running this car on, okay? Some manufacturers recommend breaking in the engine on, say, 16%, but then running it on, say, 25%. But I prefer just to break it in using whatever fuel you're planning to use. But do whatever is right for you. So let's refill the tank. Same as the last tank that I said in the last video, we don't want to fill the tank right to the brim because the whole fuel system gets pressurized, so therefore you need a little bit of room at the top of the tank just for air, okay? So we shouldn't need to prime the engine, but we're about to drive it, so make sure you're in a suitable area. And now we're just going to turn on the electronics and make sure that everything is working good, because we're going to be needing to have control of the car. So shouldn't need to prime it because it's already been running. So now we're just going to start the engine. When it's started, I'm going to do figure of 8 circles, or just slow driving, not exceeding quarter throttle. Okay, so let's start him up. The weather is nice, just sit here and enjoy it. It's can be a little bit monotonous with the breaking in, but the fuel tanks on this go quite quickly because it's only a 75cc tank. So just dabbing the throttle, literally just 1/4 throttle, and just enjoying it really. This car is very nimble, it's very lightweight, I'm liking it. Okay, great, so that was tank 3 done. I've just allowed the engine to cool off now for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I've also put the piston at the bottom of the sleeve as well, at BDC, as it cools off. Now it's time to move on to tank number 3. So for tank 3, using about half throttle, okay, on the transmitter, up to half throttle, and just drive around at half throttle really. Just up to half, release it, up to half, release it, etc. It's still running very, very rich. At this point, if it's running so rich that it keeps stalling out, you might need to lean the high-speed needle just a little bit. Not for performance by any means, but just so that the engine will actually run, because otherwise if it's that rich that it keeps stalling, then obviously you need to lean it a little bit to actually keep it running. So let's fire him up again. Another thing to be aware of is don't let the fuel tank run completely out. Try to stop the engine before the fuel has completely gone, because as it gets near to the end of the fuel tank, the engine starts running a little bit lean, and we don't really want that on a new engine. So let's fire him back up and onto tank number 3. So we're going up to about half throttle here, and then just easy. Just letting the car coast. Up to half, then just letting the car coast. I'm just going to carry on doing this then for the whole of tank number 3. Keep checking your engine temperatures. If you want to, you can let it just sit for a second or two just while it cools down before you carry on. And I'll see you in a couple of minutes when it's time to do tank number 4. Okay, great. So we've just done tank 3. Again, let it cool off for 5, 10, 15 minutes. now we're on to tank number 4. So with tank number 4, this is where it gets a little bit more exciting. We're going to be reaching 3/4 throttle, about there, and then easing off. This is going to be more sort of in a straight line, and again, as I mentioned on the previous section, if you need to, you might need to lean out the high end needle just a little bit just to get it going. So let's start him up. So 3/4 throttle, whole of tank 4, enjoy it, let it cool down, then we move on to tank 5. Let's go. You should notice at this point the engine starts to become a little bit more reliable. This thing is fast. All the way up to 3/4 and then just easing. Probably get the idea with that one. So I'm going to carry on doing this for the whole of tank 4, take about 10-15 minutes, and I'll catch you in a minute for tank 5. Okay, so now we're on to tank 5. Tank 5 is the final tank of the braking in procedure, but by no means is that just it. You know, the engine is still very new at 5 tanks and beyond, so we still need to look after it, but we are on the last tank of the braking process. So for this one, let's turn on the electronics again. So for this one then, we're going to be going all the way up to full throttle, holding it for a couple of seconds and then easing off. So all the way up to full throttle, holding it for a couple of seconds and then easing off. So if you're not already, you're going to need a nice open area for this. This car is quite quick as well, so we do need a nice little bit of space for this. So I've already refilled the tank. Again, it's just had a couple of moments to cool off between tank 4 and 5. Let's fire him up, and we'll do all the way up to full throttle and easing off, just coasting for the whole of tank 5. So that's all the way up to full throttle. Easing off. This thing is very, very rapid. I'm going to carry on doing this then for the whole of tank number 5. Once the braking in process is done, you can start to lean out your engine slightly. I'll pop a link down below of how to tune this engine once you've done the braking in procedure. But apart from that, that is the braking procedure done. Thumbs up for the FTX Torro so far. It's been very easy and definitely recommended for a beginner. So stay tuned in, guys. Remember to hit the red subscribe button down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video when it's time to bash this one.